Smoke drifted above the ruined cities of New Vega as the Eidolon hovered in the sky like a silent guardian. The once enslaved humans on the surface stood frozen, staring upward at the impossible sight. They had lived their whole lives believing Earth was gone, only stories told by their grandparents. Now above the clouds, the ancient symbol of Earth's defense fleet shone again. On the bridge, Captain Marcus Hale watched the surface on the main display. The people below were cheering now, gathering in open streets. Some waved torn flags, others just stood with tears in their eyes. For decades, they had been slaves of the Zerath. For the first time, they were free. "Captain," Lieutenant Kira Voss said softly, "local transmission channels are lighting up. They're calling us." "The Ghost Fleet," Marcus smiled faintly. "Let them call us what they want. All that matters is they know we came back." The ship's AI, calm as ever, interrupted. "Incoming distress signals from several nearby systems, Captain. It appears the Zerath Dominion has launched a full retaliation. They are rallying reinforcements from 3 sectors. Marcus's expression hardened. They'll want to erase what they just saw. They can't allow the galaxy to believe humanity returned. Kira turned toward him. "Sir, we can't fight the entire Dominion alone." He looked at the glowing map. Red lines spread across the starfield like veins of infection. "We won't have to. Once the other races see what we can do, they'll come to us." Far across the galaxy, the news spread faster than any fleet could travel. In every port, on every station, whispers rose. The humans are back. The lost world awoke. The ship called Eidolon destroyed an entire Dominion armada in minutes. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Ambassadors from dozens of worlds filled the circular chamber, their holograms flickering above the table. "This cannot be true," shouted the Zerath representative, his crimson scales gleaming with anger. "The human world was destroyed generations ago." A calm voice answered from across the room. "Then how do you explain the loss of your Vega fleet?" It was the voice of the Tavarian diplomat, a pale being with luminous eyes. 300 ships gone in less than an hour. "Who else could do that?" the Zerath envoy hissed. "A trick. A stolen technology." But even as he spoke, the Council's central display showed the final transmission from Vega. An enormous ship, its hull bearing the flag of Earth, surrounded by burning wreckage. The image froze there, silent and undeniable. For the first time in centuries, fear spread across the chamber. Back aboard the Eidolon, Marcus stood at the command console, studying the holographic map. "Status of the planet?" he asked. "Zerath presence eliminated," the AI replied. "Colonial survivors are organizing. They request evacuation for the wounded and supplies for rebuilding." "Send down aid pods," Marcus said. "And prepare for departure." Kira looked surprised. "Departure, sir?" "We just liberated them. We can't stay," Marcus said quietly. "The Dominion will send a fleet 10 times larger. We need to choose the battlefield, not wait for them to find us." The AI's deep voice filled the room again. "Recommend relocation to Lyra 9 system. It contains abandoned shipyards built before the war. They may still hold usable technology." Marcus nodded. "Set course." The crew moved quickly. The Supercarrier rose through the clouds once more, engines igniting like a sunrise. As it vanished into the black sky, the people on the ground cheered and saluted, their voices echoing through the ruined cities. The jump to Lyra 9 was short. The system was silent, its star dim and cold. Around a dead planet, ancient orbital docks floated like the skeletons of giants. "Looks deserted," Kira murmured. "Perfect," Marcus replied. "We'll hide here until we're ready." The Eidolon moved into orbit. Drones launched from its belly, exploring the broken shipyards. Inside one of the massive stations, they found something unexpected. A message beacon, still functioning. The AI decoded it. The holographic image of a woman appeared, grainy but clear. Her uniform bore Earth's crest. "This is Admiral Rhea Morgan," the message said. "If you're hearing this, the Eidolon still exists. We failed to save Earth, but the future may yet belong to you. Hide well, and when the galaxy forgets us, return." The bridge fell silent. Marcus stared at the image, remembering his old commander. "She knew," he said softly. "She built this plan for us." Kira looked at him. "She believed we'd come back someday." He nodded. "Then we'll make sure her hope wasn't wasted." Days passed as the crew repaired the station and rearmed the ship. New Vega's survivors sent messages of gratitude and pledges of loyalty. Across the galaxy, Small human colonies long thought lost began to respond to hidden codes sent from the Eidolon. It was the rebirth of the human confederation. But the Zerath were not idle. Their war fleets gathered, their leaders furious at the humiliation. Massive hive ships were prepared, vessels the size of moons armed with plasma storms and gravity cannons. Their ruler, Emperor Vrakor, vowed to burn Earth itself once he found it. Soon the Dominion fleet launched. Their target, Lyra 9. The warning came suddenly. The Eidolon's sensors detected hundreds of jump signatures forming at the edge of the system. Zerath fleet incoming, Kira said urgently. Hundreds of ships, maybe more. Marcus didn't hesitate. All hands to battle stations, the AI spoke calmly. Enemy strength exceeds previous engagement by a factor of 4. Marcus smiled faintly. Good. Maybe they'll make this interesting. The darkness outside filled with light as the Zerath armada arrived. Their ships spread across the void like living shadows. The largest one, a hive flagship, glowed red from within, its surface alive with writhing tendrils. The Eidolon faced them alone. The first wave of enemy fire lit up space. Plasma storms and energy bursts slammed into the carrier's shields, shaking the decks. But the armor held. The AI's voice remained steady. Shields at 93%. Returning fire, the carrier's cannons roared. Waves of blue energy tore through the front line of the Dominion fleet. Dozens of ships disintegrated instantly. The human fighters launched again, moving like a swarm of silver streaks. Focus fire on their command ships, Marcus ordered. Yes, sir, Kira shouted. The Eidolon's central rail batteries charged, immense weapons that drew power from the ship's quantum core. When they fired, the light was so bright it cast shadows across the bridge. The main beam struck the enemy flagship dead center. It split in half like glass under pressure, its core exploding into a brilliant white flash. The Zerath fleet broke formation. Some tried to flee, others continued firing wildly. The AI spoke again. Enemy morale collapsing. Pursue? Marcus looked at the burning wreckage filling the viewplate. No, let them run. Let them tell the galaxy what they saw. Hours later, silence returned to space. The battlefield was a graveyard of drifting metal and ash. The Eidolon floated among the remains, its hull still glowing faintly from the heat of battle. On the bridge, the crew sat exhausted but triumphant. Kira looked at Marcus with a small smile. Sir, I think the galaxy knows now. Marcus nodded slowly. Good, then it's time to speak. He walked to the main console. Open a broad transmission, he said. Every frequency, every language. The AI complied. A signal spread across the stars. Attention, Marcus said, his voice echoing through every channel. This is Captain Marcus Hale of the Earth Defense Fleet. We do not seek conquest. We do not seek revenge, but we will no longer hide. Any who wish peace will find an ally in humanity. Any who bring war will meet the Eidolon. The message ended. For a long moment, space was quiet. Then, one by one, responses began to arrive. From colonies, from lost ships, from races tired of fear. The name of Earth spread once more, not as a legend, but as a symbol of strength. Weeks later, the Eidolon entered orbit around Earth. The planet was peaceful and green, rebuilt slowly over generations in secret. As the ship descended, the clouds parted to reveal the oceans below, the same waters where it had slept for so long. Marcus stood at the window, watching sunlight gleam across the hull. Kira smiled beside him. We really did it, sir. We woke the galaxy. He nodded, his voice quiet but firm. Not woke, Lieutenant. We reminded them who we are. The Eidolon touched the atmosphere, engines humming like a heartbeat. Below, people looked up at the massive shadow crossing the sky and cheered. For the first time in 100 years, humanity's greatest ship had come home. And somewhere among the stars, every empire, every fleet, and every ruler now whispered the same words, words carried by every broadcast and every frightened report. The galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. Once humanity had stood proud among the stars, curious explorers, builders, and warriors. But after the Great Galactic War, Earth went silent. No signals, no ships, no presence. The alien races thought the humans were finished, scattered, or extinct. To most of the galaxy, Earth was a myth, a story told to frighten cadets or inspire caution. Yet deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, under miles of rock and water, a colossal structure slept in silence. It was older than any living admiral, and larger than any known ship. Its name was Eidolon, a hidden supercarrier built in secret during Earth's final days of freedom. Inside the still chambers of that giant machine, systems began to wake. Cool blue lights shimmered across metal walls as ancient engines hummed softly. Dust that had not moved in decades drifted through the air as energy coursed through long-forgotten circuits. Captain Marcus Hale stood in the command center, his face calm but his heart racing. He had been recalled from retirement only a week ago. The message had been simple. Report to Pacific Command. The Eidolon awakens. He had thought it a prank until he saw it with his own eyes. The ship stretched beyond the horizon, hidden under the sea for almost a century. The construction team that built it had vanished afterward, their records erased. It was a weapon no one was supposed to know existed. Now it was his to command. Power status? Marcus asked, his voice echoing through the quiet bridge. Lieutenant Kira Voss, young and sharp-eyed, checked her console. All main reactors stable, sir. Quantum veil holding. No external detection. The ship's AI Eidolon core is active and requesting authentication. Marcus placed his hand on the console. A beam of light scanned his face, followed by a deep voice that filled the bridge. Captain Marcus Hale. Authorization confirmed. Eidolon Supercarrier online. Awaiting orders. The sound of that voice sent a shiver through the crew. It wasn't just a machine. It was the mind of the largest warship ever built by humans. Marcus looked out the viewplate into the darkness beyond. We waited long enough, he said quietly. It's time for Earth to stand again. Far away in the core of the galaxy, the Zerath Dominion expanded like a spreading storm. Their ships, living things of metal and flesh, consumed entire systems. No one could stop them. The Galactic Council argued, signed treaties, and sent diplomats, but none dared to fight. The Zerath enslaved weaker races and demanded tribute from stronger ones. To them, conquest was nature. And now, they had reached the edge of a small system known once to belong to humans. A half-forgotten human colony, New Vega, had fallen under Zerath control. Its people, descendants of those who had left Earth long ago, were now slaves working in the mines. The council said it would intervene, but everyone knew it wouldn't. Humanity was forgotten. That was about to change. The surface of the Pacific trembled. At first, it was just waves rolling higher than usual, then a roar like thunder as the water split apart. Out of the depths, something massive began to rise. The ocean boiled around it, lightning flashing above as if nature itself sensed something awakening. The Eidolon broke through the waves like a mountain emerging from the sea. Its hull was dark gray, lined with silver veins of light that pulsed softly. It towered hundreds of meters above the surface, water streaming down its sides. The sheer size of it made the surrounding storm look small. Surface breach complete, Kira reported. Quantum veil disengaged. We are visible, Captain, Marcus nodded. Good. Let the world see what we've built. Around the planet, every satellite, radar, and telescope picked up the sudden appearance of something enormous. Scientists were stunned. Governments panicked. But in the deep bunkers of Earth Command, the surviving military leaders smiled. Their greatest secret had finally awakened. Inside the carrier, thousands of hangars came to life. Fighters and bombers, sleek and silver, lined the decks. Their designs were unlike anything seen in the current galaxy. They had been built with technologies that no alien race ever possessed. Fleet synchronization complete, the AI reported. Weapons online. Shields at maximum. Awaiting destination. Marcus studied the holographic map that filled the command chamber, dots of red-marked enemy territory. At the very edge of the map, one small light blinked in distress. New Vega. He clenched his jaw. Admiral Rhea Morgan, an old friend and one of the heroes of Earth's last war, had disappeared there decades ago. Reports said she was captured by the Zerath. Whether she was still alive, no one knew. Marcus turned toward Kira. Set course for New Vega, silent quantum jump. We leave immediately. The crew moved with precision. The engines of the Eidolon began to hum, bending space itself. Jump in 5 seconds, the AI said calmly. Then, without flash or noise, the ship vanished. In the black of interstellar space, the Eidolon traveled unseen. Its drive didn't leave trails or light. To sensors, it was nothing. The crew sat in silence, the only sound the low hum of the ship's heart. Kira looked up from her console. Sir, the galaxy thinks we're gone. What happens when they find out we're not? Marcus smiled faintly. Then they'll remember who we are, and they'll learn why they should have left us alone. The Vega system came into view. Once a shining colony, now it was a graveyard. The cities on the surface were smoking ruins. The Zerath fleet orbited above, more than 300 ships, their twisted shapes glowing with organic light. The AI analyzed the scene. Enemy fleet detected, 314 vessels. Probability of victory, 99.8%. Marcus gave a small nod. That's good enough for me. Prepare for combat. The moment the Eidolon decloaked, alarms erupted across the Zerath fleet. They had never seen a ship so large, so silent, and yet so alive with power. The Zerath commanders ordered an attack, thinking it was just another primitive human relic. They were wrong. Thousands of energy cannons ignited across the Eidolon's hull. Waves of bright plasma fire tore through the Zerath ships. Their organic armor melted under the barrage. Then the hangar bays opened. Hundreds of human fighters launched at once, each one faster than light could react. They darted between enemy ships, firing bursts of energy that sliced through Zerath defenses. The battle became a storm of light. In the Galactic Council's chamber, every communication array began to flash. Reports came from witnesses near Vega. One ship, massive, bearing human insignia, destroying an entire Zerath armada. The alien diplomats stared at the screen in disbelief. Impossible, one of them said. Earth has no fleet, but the image didn't lie. The Eidolon stood among the wreckage of the Dominion fleet, surrounded by fire and silence. On the bridge, the last Zerath battleship exploded in a silent bloom of light. The crew cheered, some shouting, others crying. Marcus said nothing. His eyes were on the planet below. "Begin landing sequence," he ordered. "We're bringing our people home." The massive ship descended through the clouds, its shadow spreading across the ruined world. On the ground, the enslaved humans looked up in shock. They had believed Earth was dead. Now above them they saw the symbol of their old home, silver and blue wings with a single star. Kira watched through the viewplate, her voice quiet. "They're looking at us like we're legends," Marcus replied softly. "We are." The sun rose behind the ship as it touched the upper atmosphere. Light spilled over its hull, turning the metal to gold. For 100 years the galaxy had forgotten Earth. But now, its greatest weapon had returned. And this time humanity wasn't going to hide. The Eidolon had awakened, and the universe would never forget its name again.